Oh, you're definitely live on Facebook.
Are we?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Check it out. What's up, everybody?
Yo!
What's happening?
What's up, guys? Happy Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday.
It
I know.
honestly, it has been a minute, and it feels good to be back.
It's
Man.
true. It definitely has been a minute.
I know we haven't had a podcast for a little while. Somebody's been out of town traveling too much.
Seriously. I apologize for that. But it was
Must be rough.
much needed. I know my wife is gonna hate me because I'm leaving again on Sunday for like our Berkshire conference.
Yeah.
And that's in Nashville, and so it'll be interesting to go there and see
What's going on?
Yeah.
I wore my Nashville shirt today
Nash
because
Bash.
keep them in your prayers, you know, because
Yeah,
there's a bunch of
the-
families that have been
the
torn up by the tornado
Yes,
stuff.
exactly.
Anyways,
Whoa.
we're not here to talk about me.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about this guy. So super excited. Let us get you guys and us started. So first of all, welcome, Cyrus. We have one of our good friends and preferred partners with us today that Levi and I both actually use.
Yes.
And we're going to get into that here in a little bit. But we wanted to bring Cyrus Jaffery on and kind of hear his story, how he got involved, and what matters most to him as we get into this, because we share a lot of the similarities, I think. But Levi, why don't you introduce our guest, tell us how we got connected with this guy, and then we're going to let him just roll with it.
Yeah. So it's an interesting story because it wasn't like, oh, I guess our relationship didn't start based off of some networking event or something like that. But at the time, after I had moved back here to kind of restart my mortgage career and things like that, relocated back to Nebraska, I was looking for some partnerships and some relationships to help grow the business and, have a trusted relationship with someone that I knew I could send people to who would help them and treat them the same way that I would do myself as a client. So I kind of bounced around through a few different insurance agents and companies and things like that. Never really found somebody who fit the mold, you know. So honestly, I just started reaching out through buddies and friends and people who are in the industry, and I was like, man, who do you guys use? I need somebody I can rely on that I know is not going to drop the ball and they're going to handle people correctly. And oddly enough, Ben Mathis at the time, we were hanging out talking and stuff, and he's like, oh dude, you got to hit up my boy Cyrus, and we went to high school together and he's the greatest guy. And I'm like, what? Okay. So that was it, really. I think I just called you, and it was ever since then, I'm like, this is the dude.
Love it. Yeah, and then I think you then connected me with Cyrus, so that's how that full circle kind of came around. So why don't we start out with you, Cyrus? Tell us a little bit about your story, where you grew up, your family, all that kind of good stuff.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
This is awesome. I've watched you guys all the time, and now I have the privilege of being here, so it feels super cool. Cyrus Jaffery. I am Omaha, Nebraska. I went to Millard North High School. And I went to Nebraska
Shout out
West.
Millard North. Weren't they the Mustangs?
Mustangs.
All right.
There you go. Back to state basketball last summer.
So
we're back on. Probably won state championship again in football. We won every year I was there. So. Had a good team, but
that was very humble.
Yeah.
I mean, we were so good that
I never played. I didn't play football, but those guys were good.
That's awesome.
So, anyways, we went to Nebraska Wesleyan University. What got me there was soccer. I played soccer at Millard North High School, and I was deciding where I was going as far as playing soccer, and that's what I wanted to pursue. And it visited a lot of different places, and decided on 45 minutes away to Nebraska Wesleyan University. It was between Creighton, St. Louis, Stanford. Now that I look back, I wish I would have gone to maybe a Stanford or something. It'd been cool to get out of here and do kind of things. But I wanted to be close to mom, and my mom was a single mom here, so wanted to be close to her and wanted to be too far. I was one of the older kids, and the more responsible kid
Yeah.
to college. So I wanted to be closer to home. So I just chose to go to Nebraska Wesleyan University, got on the soccer team, did that thing, and then moved back here in 2011 after I graduated from there, and just started with Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
You know, that was kind of cool. Just got a job there, and then right after that, I met my wife, Michelle, married.
Shout out Michelle. What's
Shout out
up?
Michelle. What's up? She's supposed to watch this.
Oh, okay.
She's watching the kids, and one of them is 6, so she's like, watching Jonah, and my son's about to be 1 on Saturday.
Oh,
happy birthday.
Jonah.
That was
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah,
Wow,
so
man.
good. So, and then I have a daughter who's 3.5, Sophia.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
a lot of fun at the house. You know, you got a couple kiddos, man.
Yeah.
So it keeps me pretty busy at home. So, yeah, I was originally actually born in Afghanistan.
Wow,
Maybe
I
both
did
of
not
you
know
guys
that.
didn't know, but I was born there. We moved here in 2002, high school at Miller North, and then kind of doing my thing. So on the personal side, that's where I'm at, man. So
Awesome.
yeah,
So your parents grew up in Afghanistan.
correct.
And then
Yeah.
what brought them over
Yeah.
here to the States? I'm always intrigued by this because
Yeah.
I'm like, Omaha, Nebraska. Like, what
It is
brings
a-
somebody
Yeah.
here from overseas?
Yeah.
We've got a crazy life, man. We've been all over started born in Afghanistan, moved to Pakistan. I've been to Australia, Amsterdam, England. I've been to Colorado. I've been to St. Louis. I've been to California. I've lived in all these places.
Wow.
Briefly in most of those, but we landed here because my aunt lives here
Okay.
in Omaha, Nebraska, and we didn't really have a lot of family. A lot in California, but when you come here as refugees, they kind of put you into places, and
Where
you can't just
you
say,
go.
I want to go to California.
Yeah.
Because you kind of have to be on your own and to get accepted and all that. So,
Right.
yeah, so we landed here because we were landing in Colorado, and we said, hey, we got close friends. My aunt lives in Nebraska. Can we move there? And my aunt said, hey, the education is really good here. You know, the kids can have good education, small town feeling, all that stuff.
Cost
So
of
it was-
living's good.
Cost of living
yeah.
is great. This was 18 years ago, right? Small
Yeah.
at that time. It's obviously grown quite a bit. So,
Yeah.
so that's what brought us to Nebraska. Everybody asked me that question. I'm like, yeah, crazy. Omaha, Nebraska.
Yes. Good old Omaha.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, it sounds like a far jump, but really there's a lot of good things that bring people here,
Absolutely.
and you mentioned some of those already. You know, it's, I like to think that we are a good destination for having a good life, raising a family, you know, the good life.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
The good life, baby.
well, crazy. I mean, that's, obviously we'd love to hear,
Yeah.
you know, and have you expand on the journeys and things like that a little bit, but I'm kind of curious, you know, after you're getting here,
Yeah.
your college, Wesleyan, all this
Yeah.
stuff, start working at Wells Fargo. So what kind of, from that point,
Yeah.
I guess is the turning point for you that really pushed you into the career field that you're in today? Was there a specific person
Yeah.
or a moment or someone who helped kind of guide you or transition you into what you're doing?
Yeah, I would say I'd give props to my wife again. You know, her dad's a State Farm agent of 30 years. And,
Okay.
And it's funny because I tried to be a State Farm agent back right when I got out of college, and I didn't
Yeah.
even know my wife at that point.
Uh-huh.
And you know, I tried twice, and both of the times they're like, you're not good enough, and
Mhm.
you need more experience. You just got out of college. We
Mhm.
don't trust you yet. Go work for an agent, or
Right.
whatever. Which I was like, I'm glad I didn't become an agent at that time because I don't think I'd be as successful as I've grown up like 3 years
Uh-huh.
later. So that's really how, you know, State Farm got into play. And then as I decided, so I said, okay, well, I don't want to go work for anybody. I'll just go to Wells Fargo because I've got a different offer from them as well right
Yeah.
after college. So did the Wells Fargo thing, personal banker, private banker, and then I was doing mortgages
Mhm.
when I met my wife.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This was
My
like
wife.
when, like, what,
So this was
09, so
2013.
13, okay.
So
okay, yeah.
10 and 11 is when I left school, moved here, did
Yeah.
Wells Fargo for 2 or 3 years, and then 3 years, and then 2013, late 2013 is when I met my wife about June-ish, and then late 2013 is when I pulled the trigger to try State Farm one more time because I met her dad. Her
Uh-huh.
dad's a State Farm agent, and he is a salesman for sure.
Uh-huh.
So he kind of sold me on the idea again, and you know, and I was intrigued because I played soccer. I was very social,
Yeah.
and it was like, okay, what can I do to where I can enjoy it, but at the same time, it could be a career.
Yeah.
And when you're young, you don't think about like I'm doing this to help people. I didn't.
Right.
I was just like, what can I do to make money to survive? Honestly,
Right, yeah.
right? And so anyway, so that's really how the transition happened. And then my my wife talked to me like, hey, I've been to State Farm since I was a little baby. Like, they do this and they do that, and they all these trips, and they treat you like family and all that stuff. I'm like, all right, I'm intrigued, right? So, and then I walked into his house, and I'm like, okay, this is a cool house. How do I get one of these? You gotta be a State Farm mate. So, got into State Farm, tried it the 3rd time, and I got the opportunity to open up our office August of 2014.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Very
So-
cool. Mentorship, I think,
That's
always
right.
is important, you know, to have
100%.
somebody who sees the potential in you, maybe that you
Yeah.
haven't seen yourself, and they can kind of help you find the path, and, you know, that's huge. I know Ryan and I have talked about that in previous episodes and shows and
Yeah.
stuff, and how that part of, you know, where your story origin comes from can be so powerful, especially
100%.
to a younger entrepreneur or someone who's trying to make their way. So
100%.
Cool.
He wouldn't hire me as his my wife's like, hey, Cyrus, this was 2 months before. Hey, he's really good. He's good, doing good at Wells Fargo. Are you looking for somebody at your office?
She was
He's
probably
like, wow.
And he's like,
He's
no.
not really like State Farm material. He's not, you know, that's what he said at first.
Yeah.
And then it's funny, you know, we'll kind of go into it later on, but how like it evolved to us being one of the top 30 agents in the country, and,
Right.
and really showing his numbers to him every month. I'm like, hey Tom, where are you at down here? But he's like, man, my father, my second father. I never had a father in my life in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So he's really been a big
Yeah.
person behind all of it. So
That's huge, man.
yeah.
So speaking to that, I want to go on a tangent there as far as, so not having a father in your life,
Yeah.
right? And then getting into the insurance thing and doing your thing and then starting a team and all this other stuff. Like, was there any challenges that you faced going into that where like, man, having a mentor or an example to look after or something like that growing up would have helped, or was it almost better for you to not have that to now mold you into like who you are today?
Hey, good question. Yeah, no, so obviously it'd be a lot easier if you had somebody that you kind of look up to that has done it or can give you life advice, you know,
Yeah.
but not everybody gets that opportunity, which, you know, for me, it was one of those things where I just had to grow up fast, you know. At 14 years old, I was working on McDonald's, right? So it's still one of my favorite jobs, by the way. But
free fries.
yeah, I mean, but it just really, man, I knew that I had to just grow up, man. Like nobody is gonna like hold your hand and say, all right, so you had to do it on your own since 14 because I had to pay for my own car, for my own food, for my own everything. So I just became like I'm 31 now, but I feel like I'm like 45 because I've just done life that a lot of other people maybe have not experienced, right?
Yeah,
so, but to kind of answer your questions, I would say that what I did to help me towards becoming one of the best in the insurance industry, especially with State Farm, was I associated myself with like-minded people, right? People like you guys, man, people that have really the drive to kind of take it to the next level, right? And those are just some other State Farm agents that I made connections with. We had mastermind groups, 20 of us State Farm agents that we talked every month. We say, hey, how can we become better? How can we become better, right? So, and it's funny, as you do good and you go to some of these trips, all you do is hang out with other people like-minded, right? So that really kind of took me to the next level. It drove me to make that chairman's circle or that president's club because I was really intrigued. I was young to go there to learn from these guys and bring it back to my office and be like, guys, let's do this. And then to the market, because our market was not known for being very, very high producers, right? So we kind of changed the game in Omaha, Nebraska, I would say, from bringing other people's from Texas and California that have 50, 60 people under them, bringing those ideas to us and saying, all right, let's change the game a little bit. And that really got me potentially to the next level. So I found mentors, maybe not blood related, but you know, brothers, I would say, that brothers and sisters that have helped me kind of develop.
Yeah,
that's good.
That is, wow. That's really good stuff, man. I think that is key too, you know, to try to find people who are like-minded and surround yourselves with them. You always hear that, you know, every entrepreneur, put yourself around the people you want to become, and I think it's definitely the rule. There's always exceptions, but it's a good way to learn from the best.
What do you have, the average of 5 people you hang out with the most?
Yeah, I don't believe that as much. I have my own opinions on that, that saying, but I think it is true for most people. You know, I mean, who you spend your time around, you know, whether they're positive people, negative people, or, you know, they're striving to achieve or they're not. I mean, that definitely will rub off on you for sure. So, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, loving it. So I know that, you know, you kind of you kind of talked a little bit about this, but as you're thinking about, you know, kind of those relationships that helped you get to kind of where that place is. Levi and I are huge on relationships,
Oh, yeah,
and
big time.
you know, that's a big part of our business. And in fact, I ran into my store manager that worked at, she still works at Apple, and I went in there the other day, and I hadn't seen her in like 4 or 5 years, and she's like, come give me a hug, and like I came and gave her a hug, and she's like, I can see that you guys are doing really well, you know, and I'm like, yeah, and she asked me a question that, you know, I was like, man, not a lot of people ask me this question, but I love talking about it, and it's going to relate with us, I think. But she was like, what do you like most about your job? And I was like, honestly, like, I love the relationships.
Right.
Like, I love helping that first-time home buyer, that person that's never sold their house before, whoever it is, walking them through their own life journey situation, right? And getting to be a part of that. And what's kind of fun with us is, like, we all get to experience that together because, you know, you've got the insurance part, you've got the lending side, I've got the real estate side. So it's like we're almost like our family bringing in like this other person into our family, and now be like, hey, welcome to the experience and why we enjoy what we love doing. But can you kind of speak on your part, right? And Levi, maybe you can speak on your part too, as far as like when we think about relationships and why they're so important. What is the best part of your job? And you're probably going to say relationships, but maybe expand on like why you enjoy it so much and why you're so passionate about it.
Yeah, I feel like my business has blossomed because if we take care of people the way we should and the way we're supposed to, I mean, the power of social media, man. Like they put something on Facebook that Cyrus was great, or Levi was great, or Ryan. And that's not why I do it, but it just has generated 10x, right? Because we've taken care of them, right? And vice versa, you do something wrong, then it's the same thing, right? It hurts you. So my thing was, if we honestly just take care of everybody the best way we possibly can, we're going to be successful. So if the one thing I can do is work hard on just making sure this client's taken care of. And even when I was with State Farm, you know, where our rates weren't the best, obviously, right? All I did was I get it. You're going to go somewhere else, it's completely fine, but I want to keep the door open. If things change, and if you're not going to get that relationship from these people, you can't. Not a lot of people can just text your insurance person and stuff's done. Not a lot of people can have that kind of ability to do that. So that kind of stuff that we kind of tell our clients, and we try to talk to them more about just business. Most of my clients are really friends that I could go have a drink with or have lunch with, and I know about their kids and their family and all that stuff. So it really just deepens up. So my goal, honestly, my biggest thing is if I just work hard, take care of my people, I'm going to be very, very, very successful. Bottom line.
And that's really funny because it's like, I feel like people are always trying to find, you know, like the golden nugget or like the secret behind your success, right? And people, you know, since our last awards banquet, they're coming up and they're like, wow, congratulations, you're doing so well. And it's like, then they always ask the question, like, what are you doing differently? You know, and it's like, nothing. Like, really, we're not doing any, if I'm going to be honest, like, we don't do anything differently than what you should do, right? And that's like, if you really care about people and you really care about their best interests, like, and you do that well, then that is, like, you're going to be successful. People, just plain and simple. And I just don't know, sometimes I look back and I'm like, why is that so difficult for people to like wrap their minds around? But I think it takes effort, right? And you know, a lot of times I think people can get focused on one deal after the other, and then they don't continue to pour into that relationship where it's like, I always tell people, listen, you're gonna find our value, like when I speak about us, is you're going to find our value after you close on your house, right? Like you're going to get the value of going through the experience, right? But then what happens when your house gets hit with hail? Like you're going to call me or you're going to call Cyrus and you're going to be like, hey, what do we need to do here? Like, and we answer our phones, we show up, we help out. Like same thing as the market, like right now, like I'm telling people like, listen, I'm doing you a disservice if I don't talk to you about refinancing because the rates are so low. So like, talk to my boy Levi over here, like after the close of the sale, but it's like, we're looking out for your best interests.
That's the most
so-
important thing. And I think when people know that, and they know that you're genuine in that,
Yeah.
man, it definitely, you can tell that it has a calming effect on them, and they understand, hey, this person is actually caring about me, and then it almost makes them move forward and have a more pleasurable experience, less stressful experience, because even if, hey, it's a busy day, you took a couple hours to get back to somebody or something like that, they have the confidence and the trust to know that they're taking care of it, it's fine, just, let them handle it and it'll be great. So I think, yeah, absolutely, relationships are definitely key, and that is one of the biggest things of importance, I think, especially in what we do. Is understanding that, hey, if we're gonna cohesively work together as a team, I need to trust that you guys are gonna take care of people. I'm gonna take care of people. Same thing,
100%.
and people will get what they need. So
I think you said something too, like the word genuine.
yeah,
Like people know, like if it's fake or if it's genuine,
100%.
right? And I think people can see through that, and especially in today's age, like people are quick to like know that, hey, this person actually cares about me, or this person's just trying. So I think that really is like the difference too, of like going from one person to the next, or agency or whatever. It's like, wait, no, we're gonna stick with him because he like cares about us, like it's not about the money or the transaction or whatever. And once they get that and they see that and they believe it, then it's like, I don't have to sell myself. Like I don't have to be that salesy salesman, right? Like I can be that person that's like just real and genuine and authentic, and like, no, this is who I am.
100%.
So I feel like that's why we get along so well. It's
agree.
because it's just like we share that same passion and that same desire, that like I'm not trying to sell you anything. Like I'm just trying to do my job and educate you on what I'm passionate about. But
I would add to that. One thing you said was you have to relate with these people, and in your case especially, we do a lot more transactions than you, right? And more transactions than you, because on the insurance side, we're doing a lot more. So I was like, okay, how can we connect with the millennials, especially because they are not one of those people that are gonna come sit with you. They'll talk over the phone with you, but that's about it. They're like, well, can you just get it done for me? Like, let's just handle it. And then how do you build a relationship with those kind of people that are really not about, we have these DocuSigns, all this stuff. So that's where we're at right now, is trying to figure out, no matter what kind of client they are, we have to build a relationship. We can't just sign them up and move on, right? So basically what we did, we brought up like an onboarding system to where it's like a couple of videos, me popping up right after we sign them up saying, hey, I want to meet you. My name is Cyrus. Here's what I look like. Here's what we do.
Cool.
Here's the process of what is about to happen after we sign you up. Because this is not like, hey, sign you up, see you later, I'm on to the next one. And I want you to come in and meet with us, but I understand life. You're busy just like me, 9 to 5, you have kids, you just can't, right? So I'm sending this video so you know who I am, what kind of a person I am, and I'm genuinely talking to you because I want to take care of you. And then I'm going to connect you. After this video, you're going to get another video. That's going to be our service side. It's an extension of me that's going to help you on the billing side and the systems and service. Because if you call our office and I'm not available, they're going to take care of you. And then boom, another video goes out. The 2 girls pop up and say, hey, I'm Maggie, I'm Erica. I'm going to help you. Here's what we look like. Here's our email. Contact us if you have any questions. So we're trying to connect with these people where we can't connect with them because we just run so much and we have the time, but maybe some clients don't have the time to meet. So we're trying to get to the next level, and technology these days can make you do that and can still make a connection with these people.
Something that's memorable and lasting. I love that. That's great, man. I haven't heard of anybody else doing that. So cheers and kudos to you.
Trying to bring that up to the market, see how it goes. We just have done this for about a month now. And we're getting some feedback on it.
Nice.
See if we can do that.
So now I'm going to transition.
Transition.
As you all know, we like the light bulb moment question. So I have to ask, as we've been talking about some of this stuff, where, you've kind of hit on some of this, but what was kind of the light bulb moment for you where, you started seeing the success, right, at State Farm, and you started seeing the success with your team and building that, and then now you're no longer with State Farm, you've started your own agency. Can you kind of walk us through, like, what was that light bulb moment for you that went off that was like, it's time for me to move on, and it's time for me, I think, to go take this to the next level and start my own. Walk us through that process. Like, what was the thought process? What were the challenges? What were some of the things that you know, you encountered as you went through that, and then maybe are still dealing with today as you go through it?
I'm going to talk about my light bulb moment, and then I'm going to tell you about 3 things that I figured this out. The 3 things that I was trying to go into of why I left.
I like
so,
lists.
yeah, so it would make it a little bit easier because I've been thinking about this for a long time, probably 3 years now. And we pulled the trigger last May, so almost 10 months into it. So my light bulb moment, where like I've been thinking about it for a long time because I have the connections, right? I've built relationships with people that realtors, mortgage officers is pretty much 95% of people we work with.
Right.
Because we understand the best product and the product that the clients love the most and protect the most is their home.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, it's the biggest investment that they'll ever have, right? So I said, we want to focus on one thing, and we're going to do it the best. We don't want to do 10 things, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do life insurance. I don't want to do health insurance. I don't want to do. You have to do auto because home and auto kind of come together. Right? I don't want to do Medicare. I don't want to do investments. And they wanted us to do all of it. And I truly believe that you can't be a master of 10 things. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
Productivity, you're just not going to be the best, right? So I was like, if I'm going to do what's best for my clients and a product that I really want to take it to the next level, I have to, because the contract is set up the way it is set up with some of these major corporations that you have to do a piece of all. And if you don't, your contract suffers, right? So you don't really get. So for me, it was because I had the brand, because I was doing the CJ Insurance Group brand for probably 2 years.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about this for 3 years, but my light bulb moment was the minute my son was born. The minute my son was born, he was born March 7th, it's almost a year now. The minute my son was born, I'm like, I need him to take over. Not that my daughter can't take over, she can very well take over. She probably will.
But I've seen the snaps.
But right. So
but
when my son was born, I was like, I legacy, man. I can't. I can't just build this thing, this giant book of business for myself, and then not being able to pass it to my son.
Right.
If that's what he wants to do, it has to. I mean, there's just no ifs or buts about it, because with the big corporations like that, you can't pass that to your son. You can't pass that to your daughter or your uncle or your cousin. It's theirs. And if you leave, or God forbid you die, it gets divided between 6 other agents that are here or somewhere else. And that's what happened to my book right now when I left. Right?
Yep.
So you're doing this, so I was like, all right, I'm working hard. I'm working really hard. And I'm doing this for somebody else. And it wasn't
yours.
It wasn't mine. It never will be mine. As much as we all say it's your business, it's not. It's their business, right?
Yeah.
They're going to do what's best for them always, and we have to do what's best for us. If that makes sense.
Yep.
So I said, all right. I was like, so it was time. It was time to kind of pull the trigger right when my son was born, because, and that goes into the 3 things, which is number 1 is legacy. For me, it was, I was like, and a lot of people can't do it because they don't have the connections. They don't have the leads to bring in, right? So for us, that was never a problem because we had good relationships and the market trusted us.
Right.
So we could branch out and still be really successful, but everybody else maybe not have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Not, so that's just how I felt when I made the switch.
Yep.
So number 1, legacy. That was by far my number 1 biggest reason that I left. Doing what's best for my clients was number 2. I mean, you can't do what's best for your clients if you have one option.
Yeah.
What works for you does not work for him. What works for you does not work for me.
Right.
I truly believe you can't do what's best for your client because there's a little box and you're trying to fill everybody into this box, and after a while the box is full. Nobody else can come in. So I was helping 2 out of 10 people that was coming to my office, and that hurt me the most was not helping the other 8. Right. So on this end, we can help at least 9 out of 10 people.
Right.
Wow. We have a box for everyone.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And so, and these are some name brand companies, like Allstate, Nationwide, Travelers, Safeco. I mean, so big Hartford, AAA. So you have big name companies just like the big ones that are in the market that are exclusive or captive, but what we have boxes.
Right.
We can just fill them in, right? So that was number 2, and then my last one was just the relationships that I have with the mortgage and the realtor. A lot of these bigger companies, they don't want you to have too big of a relationship with them because they think potentially, there's some compliance issues with that. And my business, 90% of it came from one of you guys' sources, and it just long-term wasn't going to be the right thing to do.
Yeah, because you start stepping on your partner's toes, and it's like, well, why are we working together? you know.
100%.
Yeah.
And the
No,
company
makes sense.
sometimes doesn't want you to either.
Right.
Because they're like, well, why are you working with them so much? Is there something that you're maybe giving them that we don't know about?
Yeah.
Like all those compliance, I get it. You know, they're a big corporation,
Yep.
just like some of these other corporate. So I completely get it. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So
Yeah,
I was just
absolutely.
ready to explode, man. And I couldn't explode and take it 10x if I was with them, because they just kind of keep you here. You could never gone, and I had the desire to. So
Man, big time,
Yep.
big time stuff right there.
Love
that.
it.
So I think something else that I don't know. This is kind of a complete aside, but I love it every time I see that little thing cruising around, all your marketing and stuff like that. Tell us about the car. So
Yeah.
with branding CJ Insurance, if you guys
Yeah.
haven't seen some of Cyrus's stuff, go check out his Facebook. You know, check out their website, whatever. Cruise past their office on 90th.
Yeah.
Once in a while, it's out there, nice
Mhm.
weather, you know. But they have this cool,
Yeah.
this awesome little, is it an MG? What is it?
MG.
Yeah, it's a little MG, like a 70 or something. Tell us
73.
about that. How'd you get that car?
Yeah, so it's a 53 MG
50.
engine in a 73 MG body.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, it's a cool car. We wanted to brand ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And everybody has that brand that
Yeah.
people are known for, and we're like, well, let's kind of come up with something that
Mhm.
maybe we can kind of cruise around, people can see, and
Yeah.
it's cool, and you know, so. So it was just, we wanted a staple to say, and so I ran into a friend of mine that was selling it, and I said,
Uh-huh.
hey, let's get it, we got it, put some stuff on it, and we were kind of cruising it around. So we get a lot of people that ask about it.
It's a
really-
head
it's
turner.
really
It's like a
cool.
little roadster or
Yeah.
something. Every time I see it, I'm like, that thing's so cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It is pretty cool until you kind of like, because it's I'm not really good at stick shifting until you run out of gas or then something, or don't know how to really work it, and they're in the middle of the street, you're like, oh no.
Shoot. Yeah.
But I love it, man. It's been really good for us. So
Yeah, it's such a cool little
brand
car.
recognition, you guys know about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. It's all
Mhm.
about that, and you guys are great about that. I mean, again, stop by his office, see sometimes, but man, I have I got the CJ insurance hats and
Yeah.
all this cool stuff, and you
Absolutely.
do the golf tournaments every
Absolutely.
year and everything like
Yeah.
that. Talk to us about branding yourself,
Yeah.
why that's important to kind of
Yeah.
set yourself apart from some of the other competition, and
Absolutely.
how that's helped you grow.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we want to be the best and well-known and most respected insurance company in Omaha. I mean, for that to happen, we had to have a brand, right? So we and to keep the brand alive and all that stuff, we have to do things like golf tournaments and to get the word out to thousands of people, right? So you got 100, 120 players playing, and they go tell their friends, and there's hats and stuff that go around. Everybody has hats, so.
Yeah.
So yeah, and even on social media and stuff like that,
Yeah,
we're kind of
yeah.
trying to get that going. So obviously, brand, it's very important these days. Today's society, man,
Yeah.
everybody kind of goes in and tries to figure out who they want to go write insurance with. And if you're not in the first page of Google, or if you're not on Facebook, or
Right.
if a friend that knows, hey, go check out his thing, and then they call us on it. So, but the word's getting out. We've been working on it for about 3 years now, and really just on social media, out in the public. And it's hard for us because we were known because we were with a big corporation, right? Because
Yeah.
they brand themselves, obviously.
Right.
As you see
So-
their brand all over. And we will never be that, and maybe we will be. You never know. But
Yeah.
at the same time, we're just trying to figure out what we can do to make sure when people think of insurance, and they don't think of insurance all the time. Nobody really, obviously, a lot of people are like, well, I don't really want to pay for insurance. I have to. It's legal.
Yeah.
You have to, right?
Yeah.
But I just want to be around when the time comes when they think of insurance.
So
Yeah.
you're in the
And yeah, and that's for me. Like, I don't put like salesy stuff on my Facebook ever or anything like that. I just want the brand. People like CJ, Cyrus. So when they're buying a house or refinancing, like, oh, I remember Cyrus, or rates went up.
Yeah.
Because we get that all the time. They call, who did you hear from? Well, we just know somebody told us
Yeah.
a year ago or something,
Yeah.
and now they remember us, if that makes sense. So,
Absolutely. That's huge. That actually kind of takes me into my next question.
All right.
This
let's
is
do
a
it.
heavy one.
Yeah.
Well, it can be, but we love it. I love it. It's always important for us to try to figure out when we're interviewing folks, like, what makes them tick and what's the thing that is most important to them. And you talked about legacy a little bit. You talked about some of your really three
Yeah.
kind of important things. But, for our final question, we always like to ask, as you kind of think about the legacy that you want to leave here in your
Yeah.
community and the impact that you want to have,
Mm.
what is that, and how do you want others to kind of look back on you and what you did and your mark in your community, and you know, what do you want that lasting impression to look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, it's probably not going to be insurance.
Uh-huh.
You know, I want people to not know me as the insurance guy, right? So the biggest thing I would say is, you know, I come from no father, right? So that's number one, man. I want people to be like, man, he's a good dad and he is taking care of his kids and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, a good human being, man. You know, I just want nobody to, when I'm in my funeral, I just want a lot of people to show up and be like, they're happy and they're like, man, he lived a good life, he didn't do anything bad, and he was a good person and blah, blah, blah. So my legacy I want to leave behind, honestly, is that, and maybe doing some, I'm thinking about doing maybe some nonprofit stuff and trying to get into, you know, we've been trying to, I listened to a little bit of, a lot of Tony Robbins lately.
Okay.
And he's really, and I've been on this kick for 3 years now, and he basically takes young girls that are being maybe sex trafficked all over the country and get those guys in a home and trying to get them back into their life and things like that. So I really want to be involved with that. We did that with Rejuvenating Women 2-3 years ago. So we've been really kind of involved in things like that, and we really want to take it to the next level when I have a little bit more time, not my first year in business. So really the back of my mind is what can I leave behind that people will be like, man, that was really cool that he did that to save people's lives, especially have a young daughter, man. I couldn't imagine. And when I read some of this stuff, they talk about how their parents sometimes do that to them or other people. So it really, that's the kind of stuff that I want to do in my life. But I don't want insurance stuff to be remembered. I want to be remembered for that kind of stuff. To when I leave, I left something behind that somebody else can take over and help more people that are in those situations.
Right.
So I really want to get into that.
It's kind of like what I was really challenged with from like my coach, you know, like when I first got involved with him, and he asked me, you know, we always have this question as entrepreneurs and business guys, like, what's your why, right? And so I started sharing my why with him, and he's like, okay, but I want you to think bigger. You know, like, what's your why for your community, and what's your why for those that you want to write a check to and help out with? Because what you're doing is you're going to be successful at what you're doing, right? But like, then you're going to want to take that and go bless somebody else with it, or get partnered up with somebody else. And so your why has to be bigger than you, right? Like, it has to be bigger than your community and bigger than those that you want to help, you know, like, but it continues to be that onion and that layer that you continue to pull off. And it really challenged me to be like, man, there's a lot of organizations and people that I want to help, and again, not like do it in a namesake of like, oh, it's the real estate group or whatever, but like it's doing it because that's something that's near and dear to my heart, you know, and so I think that's really cool. I think, you know, honestly, if everybody could have a legacy where it's like, I want to be known for, you know, making someone else's life better or helping them become more successful, like, I think that's more fulfilling than it's like, oh, I want to build this great business, right? Like, okay, that's a part of what we do. And of course we want to be successful, 100%. And we have a drive to do that, right? Like, there's a reason why I've got a sign over there that has the definition of an entrepreneur who stays up late working 100 hours a week so he doesn't have to work 60 for 40 for someone else. Like, you know, it's that constant reminder of like, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, but it goes far beyond just building this business. Like, it goes about leaving that type of legacy. So, dude, I'm really happy to hear that that's something that you're passionate about, and absolutely. Would love to hear more about that as we bring you on later and dig a little bit deeper.
No doubt, you guys. Every time we have somebody on, that's why I love the podcast. I love Access Omaha. We just really get to scratch the surface, get to always hear the different perspectives, and man, it's always so refreshing too, you know, to get to connect and hear more about your story, grow in our relationship too. And, And it's good stuff.
And I think specifically, selfishly, like, what's great about today is like, you don't really get to see all three of us together in the same room.
We're in the background.
But it's always like, here, let me connect you to Levi, let me connect you to Cyrus. Like, but this is the team that, you know, we love developing and going deeper with one another and learning more about one another, and why we choose to do business with people like this. And so, it's a pleasure, and we loved having you on. I'm sure we'll have you on again in the future, of course. But In closing, how can people connect with you? Are you on social media? Can they find you on a website? Like, let's put that plug in there so people can connect with you. And
Yeah, absolutely. Cyrus Jaffery Insurance Agency on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and then we are also teamcyrus.com is our website.
Okay.
Y'all can go anytime and check it out. Our phone is 402-451-2500. Please call us anytime.
Easy.
Very easy. And my cell, I honestly do not mind my clients calling my cell because I truly am there for them, man, anytime they need us. And if I can't help them, we have to direct them in the right direction. 402-213-9890, not past 8 o'clock, I'm in bed. It will direct you to a 1-800 number that will take care of you or my staff. We're always there. So yeah, please reach out anytime if you guys want to double check your stuff, or if you want any help, or you legit just want to ask a question.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're just like, hey, you know what, you should hang out where you're at. You got a good deal, maybe come back in a year or two from now. And that actually, they're like, oh, that's great, man. Yeah, we will, because you were actually honest with me, and you didn't just put my coverages down or put my deductibles up and save me money. Right?
Yeah.
So we truly want to do what's best for the clients.
Real quick, and this might have to be for something else, but I just wanted to get this in there. Do you do life insurance?
We do, absolutely. We contract with a couple of guys that have come from big corporations, and that's all they do.
Okay.
Truly, I told you guys, I want to master one thing, which is homeowners insurance. So I said, okay, but I do want to help people on the other side, right? Yeah. So I said, the best way I can do is to find a couple of people that's all they do. So they do it really good and not just get into it a little bit. And they can handle that. So we do in our office, they're in our office, but I personally don't.
For sure. No, that's good, because I get asked that question a lot too. Is
absolutely.
Like, well, do they do life insurance? Do they do all that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we'll have to find out. So
absolutely.
Got that question answered.
Boom.
Boom. That was a good podcast
Thanks, man.
today.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. For those of you that don't know, we've kind of started switching this to Thursdays and not Fridays. Just because we kept running into some issues as far as, like, I shouldn't say issues, they're celebrations.
True.
But most closings are done on Fridays, right? So we tried to pick another day that might work a little bit better. But with that, our man, Cyrus Jaffery, on today. As you know, my boy Levi Walker over at Core Bank, and then Ryan Potter here with Potter Real Estate.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Access
guys.
Omaha. Have a great weekend.
Peace.
It's good.
It's good.
46 minutes?
40